Before I even get into the meat of this video, I do need to first say, I am not putting any mom down for getting an epidural during child labor. This video just highlights my personal convictions for not wanting an epidural. So with that being said, let me share why I did not want an epidural during child labor. As a nurse who loves continuing education, I of course had to educate myself again on the labor process. The last time I really educated myself about child labor and the postpartum, everything like that period, was probably in nursing school. And let me put that into a different perspective. That was back in 2013, so that was 10 years ago. So let's just say I was a bit rusty in this area, and through this process I learned about epidurals, Pitocin, different laboring positions, different breathing techniques for labor, and the list goes on and on and on. So now let me share with you what I found in my research that led me to not choose to get an epidural for child labor. Throughout my entire career, whenever I would have a patient who would be prescribed a new medication, myself as the nurse would have to provide that patient with medication education, whether that be a pamphlet and going over the pamphlet with them and answering any questions they have about the medication. So I thought, well, if I'm going to be taking any kind of medication during child labor or just in general, but especially during child labor, let me educate myself on the actual medication and the side effects, risk versus benefit, all of that. So that's exactly what I did. Now, clearly, I do not have the medication here with me at home that goes through an epidural, but I do know of a website that I could go on to research this, and that's called Just the Inserts. On this website, you can find tons of different medications, vaccines, all of that, that gives you the manufacturer's insert and pulls information off of the manufacturer's insert and kind of groups it together for you. Through reading this, I learned that bupivacaine, I think that's how you pronounce it, also marketed as Marcaine or Exparil, is the drug of choice for child labor, and those medications can be mixed with narcotics as well. This drug goes into your epidural space of your spine. So just to clear it up, an epidural is a medical procedure, then medication is put through that epidural injection into your spine, or really your epidural space in your spine. So the first thing that caught my eye was the side effects that an epidural could cause while I was in labor. And here are a few that just kind of stood out to me. They were urinary retention, decreased cardiac output, headache, tachycardia, blurred vision, hypotension, and the list kind of just keeps going on and on and on. So just reading that made me a little bit weary to begin with. Did I really want to be worrying about these side effects while I am trying to push out my child and just trying to love on this new baby that I have? Next, I wanted to know about studies being done. With any medication I'm going to take in, I want to know the risk versus benefit and what happened in the clinical trials, and is this really worth taking? Not surprisingly though, bupivacaine has no well-controlled or adequate studies, but that's like most medications because they don't really do studies in pregnant women. So that was another red flag right there for me. Why would I take a medication that hasn't been studied? Now, the insert also states, local anesthetics rapidly cross the placenta, and when used for epidural, caudal, or pudendal block anesthesia, it can cause varying degree of maternal, fetal, and neonatal toxicity. It then goes on to say that adverse reactions in the parturient, fetus, and neonate involve alterations of the central nervous system. I had to ask myself, is this something I wanted to put in my system knowing that it could affect my baby as well? Now, thirdly, according to the inserts, epidurals have been reported to prolong the second stage of labor. It does this by removing the laboring mom's, also known as a parturient, reflexes, urge to push, bear down, or interfering with her motor function. Now, personally, that was the last thing I wanted in labor. I did not want to elongate my labor. I wanted it to go as fast and as smooth and as safely as possible. Now, my second to last point on not wanting an epidural for child labor was the potential for increasing the need for forceps-assisted delivery. But I did find with further study that forceps assisted and vacuum assisted deliveries are really on the decline, and I think it said only happen about 3% of deliveries. There is more information on Just the Inserts website that raised further red flags for me, but those are just a few. But I also had some personal convictions. A woman's body has the amazing God-given ability to be able to carry a child and bring a child into this world. Knowing that the Lord blessed me with this child and created my body to carry her, I wanted to labor knowing my strength was in Him. And I knew it would be painful, as the Bible tells us right in Genesis. But I knew I could rely on Christ to get me through it and get me through the pain of bringing a child into this world. I did not have an easy labor. I watched so many videos of women doing like water births and just pushing their babies out so calmly and quietly, and that was not my experience at all. I was in labor for 8 hours and it was intense, almost slightly traumatic. I had full-on back labor the entire time, and I knew I could not rely on my own strength to get through it. I had to... There, you hear her? There she is. She's down there. She wants to be a part of this video too. But I knew I had to rely on Christ to get me through it. I could not use my own strength. Is that so, baby girl? You want to be a part of this video? Many factors went into this decision of not wanting an epidural in child labor, and these are just a few that I'm touching on today. Comment your story down below. Can you relate to me, or are you on the total opposite spectrum of me? I would love to know, and I would love to get a discussion going with you. So comment down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel, as new videos are coming out every week. But with all that being said, thank you for tuning in, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. See you guys.